My name is Tom Martin. I'm a clarinetist in the Boston Symphony and also in the Boston Pops. I grew up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, actually in the country, not even in the city. And I went to school at the Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York, to study the clarinet in college. And I graduated and got a job in the Boston Symphony in 1984. I was 22 years old. And it was, in a way, a fulfillment of a dream that I had. When I started playing the clarinet, I was 11 years old, and I would watch the Boston Pops on TV. And I saw the clarinetist holding the clarinet. I had a clarinet. So I learned a lot just by watching that program. And by the time I was 11 years old, I decided I wanted to be a clarinetist in the Boston Pops. That was my dream. So be careful what you wish for, because it can come true. So now I've arrived at the concert hall or the rehearsal room or my practice session, and I'm going to take my clarinet out of its case. I always keep my clarinet in a case. It's a delicate instrument, and I want to protect it, and that's what the case is for. I have with my clarinet a swab, which is important, because when you're finished, you're going to want to clean out your clarinet. And another thing I have with my clarinet is cork grease. You want to make sure that you have at least some cork grease, because the clarinet can sometimes be a little bit difficult to put together because of these corks. And if you find it difficult to put the instrument together, most of the time it just needs a tiny bit of cork grease, in which I'll show you how to apply that. And these come in sticks or little containers like that. Now I'm just going to put a tiny dab on there. You don't have to do this every time, certainly not. But I'm just going to show you, and you rub it in. It's almost like it's not chapstick, but it's the similar consistency. So now this is the top joint, this is the lower joint. And there's a connector here. You have to be very careful, because this has to overlap this key. And when I put it together, I hold these keys down, and then the little connector goes up, and I hold this here, not there, but here. There's another delicate thing called the crow's foot right here. You don't want to be pressing on these keys like this when you put your clarinet together, or you'll bend this and your clarinet won't work. So you want to avoid doing that. So now I'm going to put the clarinet together. It sounds complicated, but once you've done it a couple times, it's quite easy. So that's that. Now I have the bell, which looks like a bell. Put that on. This is the barrel. Put that on. And then I take out, this is called the mouthpiece. And this is made out of hard rubber. And my clarinet is made out of wood, but my first clarinet, when I started playing for several years, was made out of plastic. And they make very nice plastic clarinets too. And you don't have to worry so much about the humidity, the climate changes with plastic clarinets, whereas wood is much more delicate. So I would recommend, if you're starting on the clarinet, to have a plastic clarinet. So I'm going to put the mouthpiece on. The mouthpiece is very delicate. Okay, very delicate. And then I put my ligature on. And I have something else that comes with the clarinet. It's called a mouthpiece cap. This is important. Don't lose it. It's there to protect the mouthpiece and the reed. So I'm going to put this down. Now I'm going to get my reed. Reeds come, they start but looking like something like this. If you can imagine this being about 8 to 14 feet tall. And then they're cut to size, and they're tubes, and they're machined to the point where we finally get something. You can have a box of reeds, where we get something that looks like this. So that's quite a transformation. And the tip of this reed is measured in hundredths of an inch. It's very delicate. So you want to protect this, because these reeds can be, as much as $3, $4 a piece. A box of reeds of 10 could be, $30, $33. And a lot of times they come with these little plastic things. Keep these, because you can put your reed back in when you're finished with it, and it's protected, okay? So this is a reed that you would purchase. These are my personal reeds, and I keep them in a reed container, I suppose you would call it. So I'm going to pull one out. So I have several reeds because I do a lot of playing, and the reeds will wear out over time. They may last a week. They may last a month, maybe a little longer, but it could be a lot less too. The cane is grown in France, south of France, and Argentina. Actually, all over the world it can grow, but that's primarily where this comes from. So I want to wet the reed because it's organic, it's wood. So from the bamboo family, but it's not bamboo. It's Arundodonyx is its name, okay? So I'll take my cap off. I'd soak the reed for anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, maybe. Now I'm going to put it on. Now, I like to have my ligature on first and slide the reed down. And then I line it up with the top of the mouthpiece. Some people, they put the reed on first and then they put their ligature on. If you're not really careful, or if you're distracted, you can actually hit the mouthpiece or the reed and break it. So I like to have the ligature on first. This is a metal ligature. They come in all different materials. Cloth, sometimes you'll see, kind of a rubber type. So I've tightened it down. And then I'll try a couple of notes. So I've been talking about the B-flat clarinet, B-flat soprano clarinet, more specifically. And this is the clarinet that all of us, I think, start on. It's very popular. It's popular in classical music. It's popular in jazz, bands, orchestra. And the range of this instrument, that's low, and it can play high. And it can also play loud, as you just heard. Now, there are a lot of other clarinets in the family. So I'm going to put this clarinet down, the B-flat clarinet. Well, I should show you. This is an E-flat clarinet. It's smaller, so that means that it's going to be playing lower or higher notes? Higher notes. Okay, high, and it can also play very loud too. Okay? So that's the E-flat clarinet, and it's a lot of fun to play too. And in band, we use these, and if you get the opportunity, try one. It's a lot of fun. I play it in the orchestra a lot. The next instrument from the clarinet family is the bass clarinet. This is something that you might have the opportunity to try in band, or maybe if you have, maybe you're kind of a big hands or something, or you just like the sound. I like this instrument a lot, and it has a very rich, dark sound. Okay, so this is also a lot of fun to play, this instrument too. I like it very much. So if you get the opportunity, if you need your band needs a bass clarinet, it's a lot of fun to play. Try it, you might like it. Or you might like the E-flat clarinet, or just stay with the B-flat, okay? Okay, so after my rehearsal or my practice session or my concert, I'm going to put my clarinet away, and I don't leave it out because it easily can get knocked over. I always put it back in my case when I'm done. It only takes a few seconds to put away, maybe 30 seconds, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is take this delicate reed, and if it feels a little bit wet, I just do that, dry it off, and I'm going to put it back in a case or in one of these little plastic things, okay? So here I go. And when you put it in there, just remember the tip is very, very delicate, and really line it up so it goes in smoothly and you don't hit the tip. Happens to me, I know, so I'm trying to help you. Okay, so now I'm going to get my case. So I'm going to disassemble the clarinet. It doesn't matter what order you do it in. Maybe I'll take the bell off. Lower joint. Just the upper joint. Take the mouthpiece. And I put the ligature back on. And I always have my cap because that's going to protect it. And then the barrel. Now, I'm not quite done yet, because inside of this clarinet, there's condensation. It's warm air going through, so there's going to be a lot of condensation. So I'm going to swab it out. You want to keep your clarinet clean. You don't want any kind of molds or anything growing in it. So I always swab it out. And, oh, let me show you one thing about swabbing, too. This is a cloth swab. Before you swab it, make sure that the swab is all the way open. There are no knots in it anywhere, okay? I've seen sometimes people rush and the swab can be kind of like knotted up like this, and it can very easily get stuck in the clarinet. There's a key that extends into the bore, and it can very easily get stuck. So, it's not free. And I pull it through, and I don't force it. If it gets stuck, stop. You can try to pull it back out or do this, but if it gets stuck, and you don't try to force, what you would do is go to your band director or go to the place where you're purchased or are renting the clarinet and have them do it, because they have special tools and knowledge to get it out. Because if you try to force it, these keys can bend. So pull it through. That's the top joint. Also, I'll do the barrel, the lower joint. You can do the mouthpiece too. I won't show that now. Well, actually I should, because the mouthpiece is delicate. When I swab, I pull it through like this, and don't pull it this way. You see this is called the beak. It's at an angle. Pull it at the angle of the beak. Okay? You don't want to run it across the tip here, okay? Because that'll wear your mouthpiece out. So now, I put it back in the case. I can put my swab. And that's it. And I put my clarinet away. My practice routine is a lot different now than when I first started playing the clarinet. I play the clarinet almost all day and night because I'm always preparing for something. For a concert, or I'm trying to learn something for myself, or most often I'm trying to maintain the technique that I built up over the years. When I first started playing the clarinet, I probably played it for maybe 15 to 30 minutes a day, I think. And I was very excited to play it. I probably played it longer than that. But if you can maybe start with 15 minutes, because you've got all these muscles that you have to develop over time. Your embouchure, and there are certain finger muscles that you have to learn. You hold your clarinet with this and your thumb, and sometimes that can be very tiresome. So play for short amounts, and you can stretch it out through the day if you want. I mean, if you really like to play, you can play 15 minutes, and then later in the day or at night, play another 15 minutes. But when I start, I keep things simple, and I think that's the best way to start, even from a beginning standpoint. I'll play something like, we'll call it open G. It's basically you don't have any fingers down, you're just holding the clarinet with your thumb. And I'm really listening. I want to make the nicest sound I can with that. And once I've got things going, I'm going to start articulating. Now, when I say articulation, I mean with my tongue. I'm going to start the note the same way with air, but I'm going to begin it by saying tu, or tu, or ta. Same note, but if you were listening carefully, it started a little differently, more clear. So something that I've been doing since I started playing the clarinet over 45 years ago is just a simple scale pattern and slurred and then articulated. Now you can continue on up the rest of the range of the instrument if you want, I do, but just to begin with, I would just stay in that range, keep it simple. You want to, when you first start playing, whether you've been doing it for 45 years or you're just beginning, the first thing you want to do is get acquainted with the instrument. How does it feel to hold? How is the reed vibrating? Does it sound good? So over 45 years of playing, I'm still thinking those same things, and I'm doing the same basic fundamentals. And if you do that, I think you're going to have a lot of fun. Before I go to rehearsal, I've prepared a few things. I've looked at the music that I'm supposed to be working on, and I practiced it, and I practice it slowly. I don't just jump right in at a fast tempo. I want to do that, but I start slowly. It's like learning to crawl, and then you learn to walk, and then you learn to run. And if you do that, your foundational skills will be a lot better, and you'll be able to rely on that for many, many years. So start slowly, whatever you're going to be practicing. And you can set aside some time to do that throughout the day, or you can just set a goal for yourself and say, I want to learn this piece, or I want to learn these 4 bars because I have a rehearsal on it. So that's what you do. So then when you go to rehearsal, you want to make sure you remember your music, and you want to be there early because you have to put your clarinet together. You have to find your seat, okay? And the other thing, essential to any rehearsal, is a pencil. You need a pencil because you may have practiced something, but There may be something that the band director or one of your friends or something, you say, well, let's do it this way, or maybe we should articulate this, or some special direction that you might not remember. Play this note softer, play this section louder. So then you can write that in your part. So it's always good to have a pencil. Don't be trying to borrow pencils all the time. I'm sure you all have a pencil. When you're in the rehearsal, it's important to be quiet. Don't talk unless the band director or the conductor asks you a question. You want to be listening all the time. There's always something to learn, okay? You can learn by good examples, learn by bad examples, but always something to learn. So you want to be quiet. You want to be focused and attentive. And you want to listen to all the sounds that are going on around you. And you want to be able to fit in. It's almost like when you're playing in an ensemble, well, you've probably all been in chorus. It's the same thing. You all want to have the same tonality, the same pitch, the same note lengths. So it's a lot of listening, and it's actually a lot of fun. I find it a lot of fun because I like to listen to players, and then I like to see, oh, I think I can do that, you know? So that's what ensemble playing is. It's a lot of listening, and it's a good amount of preparation, okay? The first piece I'm going to play, it's a little excerpt from the slow movement by Mozart. It's his clarinet concerto. So that's about as close to the human voice as a wind instrument can get, I think. That's what attracted me to the clarinet. And then this also attracted me to the clarinet. George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue.